Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. It's hot.
Stretch that over as far as you can.
And it's on. It's on. Okay. Cool. All right. We can do that.
Testing, 1, 2. Does that sound all right? Okay.
You mind?
Not at all.
How much do you trust me? Here, that way it kind of hides the cord.
Okay.
Dress it up a bit. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's on.
Okay. Remote working. You've got a water bottle over there, should you need it.
Testing, 1, 2. All right.
Okay, when you're ready, I'll go shut the doors back there.
Let's rock and roll. Give me just a second. I'll introduce you.
So just recording this as well, so we can post it,
Okay.
and we'll post on the website.
Great. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Richard Jackson, District 4 City Councilman, also Mayor Pro Tem. And I want to thank you so much for all being here tonight. We're going to go through a lot of information very quickly. But first, I'd like to get started with an invocation that's going to be given by Joseph Regal, our chairman of the Sustainability Committee. So, Joseph.
You don't realize how much pressure is on me. Some people think just doing the invocation is just very easy to do. But think of it in this terms. If I do a really good job, it's going to go really well tonight. And if I don't do a very good job, it could be not so good. So thank you, Councilman Jackson. All right, let me pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for giving us physical life because we all woke up today. And Lord, we're gathering here tonight because we are grateful to you and for our city council and our city and all that they're doing. Pray for Councilman Jackson tonight, that you would give him lots of excitement and passion, and just that his excitement can be infused to the rest of us about what's going on in our city here. So we commit this evening to you. You're welcome to attend as well, because we know that you're interested and concerned. And in Jesus' wonderful name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joseph. Okay, if you'll stand and join me in the pledges of allegiance, we'll start with pledge to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated. So like I said, we're going to run through quite a bit of information tonight very quickly because there's just a lot to share. And I'm not going to get to share everything that I'd love to share with you. But suffice it to say, your city council and your city staff has been very, very busy over the past year. In fact, it was 364 days ago when I gave my last town hall. So this is an annual update, and there's a lot to cover in a one-year time span. We're going to go through some budget enhancements, public safety, city staff changes and activity, District 4 projects, and then we'll wrap it up with what's going on around our city more broadly. So this council's been very focused on resident-focused activities, quality of life, right? It's very important because what we hear from a lot of people is well, I liked it when people didn't speed through Farmers Branch, or I liked it when we had the lights in the park, or yeah, there's a lot of things that says community about Farmers Branch that people really want. And so this council is focused on those activities and those movements. And so a few things that we've done this year: the creation of a public safety officer to address parking concerns and traffic issues. So these are officers that they can't do law enforcement stuff, but they're doing stuff that law enforcement was doing. So now having public safety officers frees up our sworn law enforcement officers to do sworn law enforcement officer stuff. All right, we've got radar speed signs put up in a couple of different neighborhoods to let people know this is what your speed is. This is the speed limit. Notice the difference. And I love it because we got one on our street. My street's kind of wider than a lot of streets, than most of the streets in the neighborhood. And we're a cut through. And cars come flying down our street all the time. It's terrible. And the sign has made a difference. And for some people, there's no sign that will make a difference. But this is one of the things that our council is doing. We've implemented a median safety ordinance. You might be thinking, what's a median safety ordinance? Was to get rid of the panhandlers out there on the medians that every time you stop, they come up to your car and they want your money. They're trying to sell you something. And so this is all part of cleaning up our city. Because most of the time, these folks are not here to contribute to our city. Most of the time, they come here and they trash out our city. And that's one of the things that we've heard from residents loud and clear, is that we need to address those kinds of issues. And we did that through a median safety ordinance. So that keeps these folks from being out in the medians where it's unsafe, number one, but two, it's quite the nuisance for those of us just trying to get from here to there. We have code enforcement on Saturdays now. So there are certain activities that people would do on the weekends that they wouldn't do during the week because we didn't have code enforcement on the weekends, like excessive garage sales. Right? We've had ordinance on garage sales for a long time, but it's kind of hard to enforce when we don't have enforcement on the weekends. So we have that now. Tree giveaway program. Did anybody get a tree from this year's tree giveaway program? No one? Oh, we got one. Okay. Yeah. So that's we have a very successful program where you can sign up, residents get a free tree, and you can actually pick what kind of tree you want out of the selection that we have available. Part of our budget, we established a revenue stabilization fund to allocate reserves to hedge volatile revenue sources. So this is just to kind of keep our finances smooth. We implemented our comprehensive plan, or we adopted the comprehensive plan that gives us a vision for our city and what it looks like for the next 20 plus years. We're implementing traffic calming and traffic signal policy. So we now have a procedure that you as a resident can follow, that if you're sick and tired of people speeding down your street, you can lead the effort to address that issue. Maybe you need a stop sign. Maybe it's one of those little signs, radar signs that read speeds. Maybe it's little bumps on the road. Whatever the solution is, we now have a procedure in place that our residents can follow to address those issues in their neighborhoods. We're charging now for charging. We have a number of electric vehicle chargers throughout the city. I want to say we have, is it 11, 17, something? Okay, we have a number of them throughout the city, and we've not been charging for people to come up and hook up their cars and charge their vehicles. And I've gotten a number of text messages over the last year from people with pictures of a $120,000 car mooching off of taxpayer dollars and getting free electricity. And some of those cars had out-of-state license plates to boot. That gets under people's skin, gets under my skin. So it wasn't but just a couple of months ago, we implemented the ordinance to start charging now. And guess what? Those cars aren't showing up anymore. Imagine that. And then lastly, this year's budget process, we had an intentional focus on transparency. We wanted the residents to be more involved and more aware of what the city council is talking about during our budget process. And this budget process, It starts again in February, and it goes all the way through until the end of September. This is a very, very long process. And by the time we get to the summer, we have a pretty good idea of what the shape of our budget is going to look like. And we start communicating that to you, and we want you engaged in that process. So speaking of budget, in big letters, 44%. If government has one job, it's to keep you safe. And so that indicates where we're focusing our resources. And we'll talk in a little bit more about where we're putting that money and how that money is going to use for public safety. But this year, you got a 2-cent property tax reduction. 2 cents doesn't sound like a lot. Frankly, the value of my modest home, 2-cent tax rate reduction wasn't a lot of money. But the message is that that money belongs to the taxpayers. And so we want to give that money back to the taxpayers. And businesses are taxpayers too. In fact, businesses pay for 75% of what it costs to run our city. Well, in last year's budget process, they didn't get that benefit of a $10 credit on the water bill and a reduction to their tax bill. But they're footing a lot of the bill. So this year, we made a difference for them as well and issued a 2-cent tax reduction, the largest tax reduction in 40 years. This year's budget, 13% less than last year's budget. We put in $2.5 million for street revitalization program to improve our streets and infrastructure. We budgeted $2 million for the landfill. And beginning next October, we'll start assessing a $5 per month charge for trash pickup. I know we're going from $0 to $5, and that sounds like a lot. But if you're in Dallas, you're going to pay $30 a month for trash pickup, and that's only once a week. But the point of this bullet point is that we have a landfill that we're going to have to pay for the closure in how many years? 20 years, roughly, 20, 25 years. And it's a lot of money to close a landfill. You can't just close the gates and walk away. There's a lot of ongoing environmental management that we are responsible for paying for once we close those gates. And so smart budgeting is addressing that expense today in a very incremental way. And this $2 million in this year's budget, and then the $5 per month charge beginning next October, is going to help us address that along the way. And then lastly, $12.5 million is budgeted for stormwater and drainage improvement projects, utility replacement, inflow. Most of our city's piping is older than 50 years. And for some of us that have older homes, my home was built in the 60s. I've not yet had to replace the pipes under my house, but I know it's coming. Well, our city pipes are no different. We've got to budget properly for those repairs so that, as I love the way the mayor says, when you flush your toilet, things go where things are supposed to go. To Dallas. All right, let's talk about our police department. You might have noticed police are far more visible on the streets these days. And we're seeing that in the results. The traffic enforcement has increased over the last 6 months. It's doubled from 4,800 citations to 9,800 citations in the last 6 months. That's phenomenal. That is just phenomenal. That's sending a message to people that, hey, slow down. We're watching, right? We want our city to be safe. We've added a school resource officer that's dedicated to our elementary schools. Very important that we keep our kids safe. We've added 2 positions to the street crimes unit to focus on fentanyl issues and on known criminal offenders. We have them in our city. We know where those homes are. We know who those people are. And for the most part, our investigators know what they're doing, where they're going, coming and going, and they're addressing those issues in those neighborhoods because they're not safe for our neighborhoods. So we've got 2 positions in our street crimes unit to focus on those concerns. We have 2 public safety enforcement officers, again, to address parking issues that our sworn officers were handling before, but now are freed up to do sworn officer duties. And then lastly, our police department is 100% staffed. We have some still in academy, but our police department is right at 100% fully staffed. That's a first since I've been on council. This time last year, we were short 11 officers and struggling to get officers out of academy and onto the streets. And then lastly, not only did we hire a new police chief, hey, Chief Paul, will you just raise your hand, let people, our Assistant Chief, and then our Chief Kevin McCoy. Is he here tonight? I haven't seen him. Okay, very good. We'll excuse his absence then. But so since my last town hall, we've hired a new police chief and a new assistant police chief. We took them both from Carrollton, so they're not real happy with us right now. But that's okay. These are great men, and they're great leaders, and this is a great police department. Let me tell you something that many of you might not know. Just a couple of nights ago, these two officers made a traffic stop. They arrested several occupants in the car. They took fentanyl, methamphetamines, and a gun off the street. Give them a round of applause. Yeah. Yeah. They're paying attention and they're doing their job. And it's all to protect us. And we can't thank them enough. Our fire department. We've added 3 firefighter and paramedic positions on the department. We are piloting what's called a 4896 program, which means that they will work 2 days on and be off for 4 days. As many of you know, firefighters a lot of times have jobs outside of fighting fires. My son, for example, is a firefighter over in South Lake. In the summertime, he has a lawn care company. And in the cooler months, he floors attics in new home subdivisions. Right? So being able to do those things and supplement his income on the days off is a huge advantage, and it's getting publicity. When Chief Latimer posted on Facebook a couple of months ago, hey, we're hiring in Farmers Branch, and put the compensation up there and a few things, in little bitty fine print, he said, and we're piloting 4896. My son called me and said, Dad, that's bigger than the salary. That's huge for firefighters. There's a lot of departments around here that are kind of stuck, and they won't do it because they can't figure out a way to do it without it costing the city more. But our staff has done that. So we're going to be doing that later this year or later next year. We bought a 100-foot ladder truck earlier this year. Takes a few years to build those things, a couple of $1 million of a fire truck. But we're building taller buildings in our city now. So we need ladders that get up to those people and save those people when there's an issue. A couple of new ambulances, one coming next year and the year after. We have a new Branch Brigade trailer that we purchased this year. This is a trailer that our firefighters use to get out into the community, go to the schools, and show people the technology and the techniques that they use to fight fires. So that trailer was 20 years old. The technology and the techniques and the equipment have changed in 20 years, and we need to update that stuff so our community knows how our firefighters are keeping them safe these days. Created a peer support program to support our firefighters. This is similar to the programs that we see in police departments. You know, these guys go out and they fight fires, but they also deal emotionally with a lot of the things that they encounter on the job. You think about one of our firefighters on a roof, the house is on fire, he makes one step, and that piece of roof starts to fall in, and in a split second, he feels that, backs off, and doesn't fall into the house. Goes home later that night and lays down and thinks about my wife, my kids. That could have been it for me right there. We had a firefighter fall 2 floors last year. He's doing good now, right? All recovered? He did. Okay. All right. Yeah. These guys have a dangerous job, and they do that all in the name of keeping us safe. And we can't thank them enough. And they do it. They're an award-winning fire department. American Heart Association, Mission Lifeline Award, Heart Safe Community, Fire Prevention Excellence. We have first-class firefighters. And let me tell you, all of the cities around us are noticing that. So let's give them a round of applause as well. All right, our city staff. Wow, there's been a lot of changes in our city staff. And I love the way that Jeff put it the other night during the council meeting. It's been a year of positive change. I love that. Love it. It has. So as many of you know, or maybe you don't, when I first came onto council in May in 2022, we'd already engaged in a city manager search because at that time, Charles Cox, who'd been our city manager for many, many years and had been an employee of the city for 33 years, was retiring at the end of May in 2022. So the city went through an 8-9 month process, national search for a new city manager. And at the end of that search, we ended up with no city manager. It was a tough pill to swallow. There'd been a lot of work done in that process, some money spent. And our staff recovered those funds that we spent, but we decided that we would promote, at the time, Deputy City Manager Ben Williamson into the role, and we signed a 3-year contract with him. And I tell you what, this guy doesn't sleep. He is a machine, and he's a great leader and has a lot of respect from his staff, and has changed a lot of our staff to elevate not only our staff, but the performance. I've worked in a lot of corporate cultures, and I've seen high performing cultures, and I've seen some that are not so high performing. And let me tell you, we have a very, very high performing city staff here, very high performing culture. So I want to recognize them as well. If y'all stand up, y'all are here. So one of the things, Farmers Branch has been in the news a lot lately. One of the things that Ben has implemented is a 4-10 work schedule, right? To give some of our staff some time off during the week to go. And maybe I know Ms. Mentor goes up and she serves time with her kids' school now. She couldn't do that before. And what many of you may not realize is that these folks are here day and night and weekends, round the clock. I didn't know that until I got involved in council, and I see these people at the parks and at the events, at meetings all the time. And I wonder, when do you spend time with your family? So Ben's implemented a 4-10 work schedule. It was in the news. He was interviewed by a TV station. So that's getting some attention too. All right, so let's talk about what's happening specifically in District 4. We've added 90 new businesses in District 4 alone since January. 90. That's almost half of what we've added across the entire city. It tells me that businesses are recognizing what's going on in Farmers Branch. It tells me that our economic development group is working their tails off to attract quality businesses to Farmers Branch. The more business we attract to a Farmers Branch, remember, they pay 75% of what it costs to run our city. The more efficiently we can work as a city council to keep our tax rates low, because our tax rate is pretty low compared to the cities around us. We have the Presidium multifamily project that's going in. That's going to be right over across from Brookhaven College or across from Fire Station number 2. That's been under construction for a little while. They're doing the framing around the parking garage now. It's 344 units. It's going to bring close to $500,000 of revenue to our city. We have the Alpha Welch multifamily. That's going to be closer to the tollway. 400 units. We'll know what the tax revenue is once they get their permits in place, but that's expected to complete in 2026. And that whole east side on the other side of Midway Road is going to transform over the next 5 to 10 years into mixed use. We're going to see more multifamily, but we're going to see restaurants and entertainment and stores. It's going to be pretty lively over there. The industrial days are going away. Over time, the industrial days, the 18-wheelers and such, will have to yield to an urban environment over there. Midway Roadhouse is over on Blue Lake Circle. Everybody know where Blue Lake Circle is? No? Okay. Blue Lake Circle is between Brookhaven College and Midway Road. And I'll bet some of you drive past there every single day and have no clue what's going on in there. Go check it out. It's really pretty over there. There is a blue lake, hence the name, in the middle of multifamily development. Right? There's apartments, there's townhome condos over there. It is really a pretty area. This Midway Roadhouse is new. It'll bring about $140,000 of tax revenue to our city, be completed next year. But there's already a bustling community that's springing up around that lake now. Midway and McEwen multifamily. This is going to be right on Midway. There's an old furniture warehouse facility right at McEwen and Midway behind the Best Buy. And that's going to come down and they're going to put in this 364 unit multifamily development and $250,000 a year tax revenue. Spot at Myra Park. Little bit of a sore subject for those folks that live over there close to this place. It is a senior residential living area that's been under construction for way too long. What's there right now is a crane and a concrete parking structure. But rest assured, our mayor and our city management has been working closely with the developers to get them back on track. They had some setbacks that were understandable, but they had to stall the development due to a lack of funding. The garage is almost done. The crane is coming down by the end of the year. They're going to improve the road between them and the hospital because that's impeded some hospital traffic. And we have some lessons learned. So our city is going to begin to be a little bit more scrutinizing with these contracts so that these projects stay on track. All right, Shell Mountain. Another sore subject. How about that, huh? I wish I could say that I had a lot to do with this. But the fact that that pile went from that to that, I owe credit to the residents in the neighborhoods behind that pile. A lot of credit. The council and the mayor, we signed a letter and sent that down to Austin. We've been working with TxDOT and their contractors to get this thing taken care of. But it took resident influence to get things moving as well. So never underestimate the power of a resident's voice. I hear from people often, well, I could say something, but it's not going to matter. It matters. It matters here. It matters with this council. So please, if something like this has happened around you, jump in, get involved. We want to hear from you. We want to join in with you. So that that site is going to continue to be a storage yard until 2025. So it's going to be around for a while. And so the city has some discussions and some thinking to do around with TxDOT to figure out what can we do with that land. Personally, I'd like to see TxDOT give it to us. I don't know that they will, but our front door has been scarred for many, many years, all in the name of improvement. I get that. But I think that we deserve to have that land and do something really special with it because that's our front door. We want our front door to look really, really good. All right, so let's talk about what is going on around the rest of the city. Orengood Park. Hoya at Orengood Park is a crown jewel. I didn't make that up. A 27-foot sphere. It's going to be completed in December, weather permitting, but you've probably seen a lot of progress over there. It's going to be cool. And I have to admit, at first, I wasn't really sold on the project. But as I start to see what it's going to be, this is pretty amazing. And it's really putting Farmers Branch on the map. There has been a lot of media coverage just on the groundbreaking and the plans. So just wait until they open this thing up and light that thing up at night. It's going to be all over TV, all over the U.S. People are going to be talking about this park because it's the only one of its kind in our nation. Maybe the only one in the world. There we go. At least the U.S. Okay. All right. Our world. Mercer Crossing at Boardwalk. Has anybody had a chance to go over there yet? Okay, a few people? Yeah. You need to take some time and go over there on a Saturday afternoon. Go over there for dinner on a Friday night. Something really special is developing on the south side of 635 between 35 and Lunar Road. Right now, we have Barrel and Bones Barbecue and Black Agave Mexican food restaurant that's open for business. And I really like the way they've done the decor inside. It's not overdone. It's not loud, so you can sit down and actually eat dinner and talk to people that you're eating dinner with. And if you want to go out on the patio, there's a lake in the back with fountains. In the evening, it's just a spectacular sunset setting. So you can go out there and have drinks, have dinner, and enjoy something new here in Farmers Branch. Coming soon is a Dough Brothers. That's a little pizza concept. Drunken Oyster. So that's a new one that just got announced this past week. Drunken Oyster and Bugatti's. Anybody familiar with Bugatti's? Long time Italian restaurant that used to be down near Bachman Lake at Northwest Highway and Midway. Midway or Marsh? Midway. Well, Marsh. So Z closed down December 31st last year. Had plans of being in the new place earlier this year, but there were some big setbacks. Some transformers blew up, and there were some other things that went on. So it's been delayed, but rest assured, Bugatti's is coming, and that's going to be really cool to have them here in Farmers Branch. That's going to bring a lot of people in Dallas over here to Farmers Branch, and they're going to see things that they haven't seen over here in years. On the end of that strip is the pickleball concept on the far west side. So that'll be a restaurant, sort of like a chicken pickle type concept. So a pickleball courts going over there, and then a place to eat and drink as well. Again, with a beautiful view of a lake. And then there was also a concept propose a burger place out there in the parking lot. So a lot of development still happening over there. So some plans could change, but right now that's what we know. Venue 1842. So you've probably noticed the historical park, the new structure going up. That's going to be finished in the spring. And isn't it cool that the first rental is a 50-year reunion for Oriole Turner High School? I think that's just, it was meant to be. Really cool, 200 people capacity. So weddings, parties, corporate events. There'll be all kinds of uses here. And the fact that we're so centrally located, I anticipate that thing is going to stay booked quite a bit. All right, just this morning, we had a groundbreaking for the new Dallas Stars multi-sport facility. So this morning we had the CEO of the Dallas Stars here, a number of others that were here to help us break ground for the multi-sport center. This is going to house the TAV women's volleyball team. Volleyball is a big deal. Youth female volleyball is a really, really big deal. So this is going to be the new home of a very well-known, nationally ranked players volleyball association here in Farmers Branch. There'll be basketball courts and pickleball courts as well. Farmers Branch is really becoming known as a youth sports destination. So if you hadn't driven through some of the streets where there are parks with softball fields and soccer fields on the weekends, there's very limited parking. They're packed. Every weekend they're packed. And so these people come here, they spend their money here. They see Farmers Branch. We get that visibility and they go, wow, what a beautiful place, right? We're getting more restaurants. We have great streets, easy to get around. This is going to bring more and more people to our city. Radici Italian Restaurant. So Chef Tiffany Derry, who owns the Southern Cooking, sorry, I just had a mind blank here, Roots Southern Table in Mustang Station, is opening up an Italian restaurant just a few doors down from Roots. And so that's coming in the first quarter of next year. And then on the corner, Bankhead Brew Pub is opening up. They are a food first microbrewery. So they've got award-winning beers, but they also have really, really great food. And they've got two other locations that are open, one in Fort Worth, one I think in Rowlett. So they're established. They're doing well in other cities. They've got a great concept that's working well. So we have all the confidence in the world they're going to come to Farmers Branch and be successful. And we're going to give our residents another place to go and hang out and have a good beer and a burger and pizza. The Elm Branch Townhome. So this is over there across the parking lot, or in the parking lot of Marshall's Barbecue. You've probably seen that going up. It's kind of tucked back. It's where the old bank building was. So those are going in, expected to complete next year, mixed use area. So again, we're infusing more and more development, homes, residential. Anybody hear that we had a pickleball tournament here last week? Maybe. Anybody play pickleball? I'll tell you what, I got some pickleballs for you. Here we go. There we go. That is the first time I've ever hit a pickleball. How about that? Heads up. All right. What a fun time that was. We had 2 pickleball tournaments here last week. One was a little bit of a surprise to us. The other one was well planned, but we had an amazing time, and our city got some unbelievable exposure on a national stage. This thing was big. 3,400 players from 48 different states. We had our early estimates are that it's about $20 million of local economy stimulus. We really think that number is bigger. We're waiting for the real numbers to come in, but we're confident with that number. 25,000 visitors, 2,000 hotel room nights. It's very important to Farmers Branch because that's tax revenue. All of our hotels were full all week long. I was talking to one of the hotel managers last night, and he said the hotel occupancy didn't have the ups and downs that they normally see with the events. He said once Wednesday got here, they were booked solid through the weekend. This was 8 months in the making. And I think that's a really important part, an important point, because it was this council, it was this city staff, it was this team that brought that event together. And let me tell you, it took a village to make this event successful. So Mayor got the call earlier this week. Invite wants to talk about next year. We want to make this an annual event. And so we feel good about it being here next year. So I want to recognize not just our council, but our staff, our tourism group. Right? We've got 3 ladies who have worked for Farmers Branch for many, many years, getting our brand out there. And these folks were they were critical to the success of this event. Meredith Dowdy, Nancy Cardwell, Ann Stokes, that's her down there in the middle. Little touches, like that sign, the green sign in the middle. Little touches in all the hotels that told people where to go, what time the shuttles were going to be there to pick them up, where to expect to pick up the shuttles, programs, what's going on. There were pickleball tournaments all day and into the night. There were bands playing all day into the night. I've lived in this area since 1982, and I've been in the Brookhaven Country Club area many, many, many times over the years. When I walked down Pickleball Avenue with it dressed out with the green grass and the stage and all of the vendor booths, for a moment I was disoriented. It's like, where'd the tennis courts go and where's the clubhouse? It was just a completely different world. And we heard time after time after time from people how incredibly awesome that it was. And they couldn't believe that it was here in Farmers Branch. So once again, I want to give our staff and our team here. It took a lot. Our police chief, deputy chief were even out there on the street directing traffic. There was a lot that we learned from putting on an event of this size to this magnitude. We had a lot of, I'll call them high-ranking people, the owner of pickleball. We had celebrities in Farmers Branch. We had people coming to Farmers Branch for the first time that left here with very, very positive impressions, not only on our city, but on our city's team, our staff, and all those involved in the event. So thank you guys very, very much for all your hard work. I hope that you're able to catch up on your rest this week. All right. So I told you we were going to go through a lot of information very, very quickly. It took 40 minutes. I want to make sure that you get ample time for questions and comments and thoughts. And so where'd that microphone go? Here we go. We've got a microphone here, so if you have questions or comments, there you go. All right, I got to turn my mic off.
Testing. Okay.
I drove all over that area. So the
Okay. It is a little tricky. Yeah, so I would say.
So, can everyone hear Councilman now? Because he turned his microphone off. You can use this mic here if you need to, but, well, if you, that's this.
So the question was, where is Mercer Crossing? Up Boulevard, Boardwalk. It's Boardwalk is sort of the brand name. So it's on just the south side of 635 between Luna and 35. The way you get there from here, I would take Valley View Lane to Luna Road, make a left, and just as you go under the 635 underpass, make a left on the service road. There's a racetrack right there. There's a racetrack on one corner and there's a hotel on the other. Make a left on the service road and go down, and it's right there on your right. Now, it's not on Mercer Crossing Boulevard. Now, it's a little more tricky getting out of there. When you come out of that's a one-way service road. Do not turn left. That would be bad. Turn right, and then there's a road that we had built that goes right under the 635 to get you back on the service road and back to Luna Road. We'll have one just for you, Johnny. Yes, ma'am.
Well, for those of you who just caught the pickleballs, you caught the pickleball action. I live across the street from Brookhaven Country Club. I'm on the Board of Governors, and I can't thank each of you enough. I'm a farmer's rancher. It was phenomenal. I can't thank you. I can't thank Allison. I can't thank Ben. I can't thank the police, the fire, the mayor, Jeff. Everybody spent so much of their time and their heart being a part of this pickleball tournament. And it was really cool. Isn't it cool when somebody says, Farmers Branch? Oh, that was in Farmers Branch. Now, for those of us who may have photobombed somebody, the Golden Bachelor was there. Now, who cares? Who cares? Let me tell you how I even care about this. My husband wanted me to record the baseball, the Rangers, those guys over there in that other city that had a big event. And so I did. And when I was rewinding it, I'm looking at this Golden Bachelor thing that I've never looked at before. And what do you think they're doing? It was their second or third one. They were playing pickleball. The girls were playing because apparently he likes pickleball. Next thing you know, here in Farmers Branch with his handlers are pickleball. Thank you. Thanks to who I can't thank all of you enough. Residents to be supportive. The first time you do anything, it's kind of like, well, I wonder what's going to happen. But I'll tell you this, watch the next couple of years because I think it's going to happen again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Some of the efforts that went into putting on this event, we had to pass an ordinance so that the police could enforce. We had to pass an ordinance so that the police could enforce no parking in the residential neighborhoods. It was very important, right? We didn't want the cars all clogging up the residential neighborhoods. We wanted the residential neighborhoods to continue to be residential while the biggest event that's ever happened in Farmers Branch was going on just down the street. And so we had to pass an ordinance for that. Right? Like I said, our chief was out there directing traffic. The traffic flowed very well most of the time, but things did. They went exceedingly well.
I think Branch Connection needs applause because it has been wonderful. For the last year, I've been exercising there. It is wonderful, and there's so many other programs that go on there. What is happening with it?
Okay, so Branch Connection, thank you for the question. So what's going on with Branch Connection? Some of you may have known that we've been in a process of getting bids to remodel the Branch Connection. If you haven't seen some of the pictures of what the concepts it's supposed to look like, it's really going to be nice. It's quite outdated today, but it's such a wonderful place where our active adults can spend time and have community. They have a breakfast there, by the way. If you don't go, first Monday of every month at 8:15 in the morning, go have breakfast. Have some fun there at the Branch Connection. But so the original bids that we got for the construction, I think we got two bids. We got one bid, and it was about $500,000 over budget, and it didn't come with a great set of references. So we took the project back to the drawing board, and so we're currently getting more bids. My understanding is that we have about 10 bids now to choose through. Now, some of the challenge with projects like this is that the cost of construction doesn't sit still while we're trying to rebid a project. So not sure what to expect other than probably going to have some more conversations around the costs and and all the remodeling concept. Any other questions? All right. So before we go, I want to recognize Mayor Terry Lynn is here tonight with us. I don't know, Terry, if you wanted to say a few words. I know also with us was Omar Roman, Councilman Omar Roman. Is he still here?
Yes, sir.
He's out there. Okay, just wave, Omar. Okay. All right. I don't want to miss any other council members. None. Okay. So, Mayor, do you want to say a couple words?
As Richard said, we just had probably the largest event Thank you, Jeff. We just had what was arguably the largest event ever to happen in Farmers Branch with this National Pickleball Tournament. There were actually two events, as Richard mentioned, Major League Pickleball, MLP, and then the PPA event. The MLP event was the Thursday through Sunday event, which was all professionals only, and then the PPA event and USA Pickleball, which started on Monday and went through Sunday. Tremendous success. Farmers Branch has been put on the map in a way that I don't think we ever anticipated. We were on every major news channel. We were on ESPN Live. We were on the Tennis Channel, Spectrum News across the state. I had somebody from Buffalo, New York call me and say they saw us on the news. This was fantastic. And so, as Richard indicated, Invited, which is the new name for Club Corp, they did call me and tell me that this event will be back next year. So we are definitely looking forward to that. We're also looking forward to maybe handling or hosting some smaller tournaments in the meantime. So that will be of a benefit to our city. Each one of these tournaments has huge financial and economic impact, and sports really is the engine that is driving what is happening in our city. So don't take that for granted. You know, our staff work very hard to land these events and work with Club Corp and these other organizations to make them a success. Our tourism department worked tirelessly to make sure that things work smoothly between the hotels and the tournament. Brookhaven College was a huge partner because we had to park cars. We were forcing people to park off-site, and Brookhaven can't be left out of the thank yous because they provided tremendous value. So I only see this getting bigger and better for our city. We are quickly becoming the epicenter for pickleball, which is good, okay? But as Richard indicated this morning, we had the groundbreaking for the Stars Multipurpose Center. And TAV Volleyball Club is going to be one of the partners with the Dallas Stars. So we'll have club volleyball and club basketball running there. There will be open time for people just to go in and play, but having my daughter played in the club volleyball circuit, And it is huge, the amount of revenue that these clubs generate and what they bring to a city wherever wherever they're headquartered. TAV is the premier club to play for. And so we're very fortunate that they are the Stars partner and will be operating the volleyball end of things. And TAV will be hosting tournaments there. And again, all of this activity, think about people coming here. They got to eat. They want to do things between the matches. We will have that. We've got pickleball that's going to be opening up right across the street from City Hall here. So there is stuff to do here in Farmers Branch. It's an exciting time, and I hope you all are excited about it too. So thank you, Richard, for putting on this town hall.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. Last chance. Any questions? Yes, sir.
With more like housing units with more events like this, traffic is probably going to get worse. What are we doing? You know, for myself, I like to ride my bike around. What are we doing to pick up car space on the roads? What are we doing to make that more viable and safer in the city?
Do we have someone from the city here that can talk to streets and so okay, so the question is, with all of this new activity in Farmers Branch, the traffic throughout Farmers Branch increase. We have bicyclists in our city. Chris is a bicyclist. So I've appointed Chris as our unofficial advocate for our bike lanes because we have marked bike lanes throughout the city. We want to continue to encourage people to get out and use bicycles. But we're going to have increased traffic as we have increased visibility. If you think about the developments that are going on, you know, we don't have new multifamily high-rise developments going on in the middle of our city. So the beauty of Farmers Branch is that the center of Farmers Branch is mostly single-family homes. We have some apartments that have been there for years and years and years. The new developments are on the east and the west sides of the city. And so we're going to get some traffic, but for the most part, they're going to come and go on their end of the city and not necessarily come through the city. That's Richard Jackson's opinion, my strategic street planning knowledge. But I don't know if someone wanted to speak to. Wonderful. Okay.
I'm Danielle Rick, city engineer. I was just going to say, speak to walkability, bike. We have a lot of plans for more trails for bikes, walkers. We even have consultant Kinley Horn working on finding the best routes that we can do, most optimal. So we're definitely keeping that in mind. We want to make it more walker friendly, bike friendly from one side of town to the other. So that is definitely on our mind. We're making sure we're getting more trails, more sidewalks, all that. Sure. On the trail plan, I do not know that off the top of my head. That's more of a question for sustainability, but we can certainly get back to you on that.
We know where to find you. Thank you, John. Chris.
If I might add, I really appreciate the sheriffs on Valley meeting because it just gives me more confidence of riding, taking up a full lane when I'm cycling. And I appreciate the fact that now they extend, I guess, over to Luna Road, all the way east to Alpha, I believe. And I think that's helpful. If we could consider maybe adding those to Webb Chapel and Josie, I think that would be a bonus. For in the future, we're looking at sustainable transportation, and cycling is one good way to get around.
If you think about the traffic patterns in Farmers Branch, most of the traffic is going up and down Webb Chapel and Josie Lane and Marsh Lane and Midway. They're coming through Farmers Branch. They're going to Carrollton, Addison. They're going to other places, back down to Dallas. I ride a bike, not as often as Chris does, but you know, I like you, appreciate those sharrows on Valley View Lane down the west sides. But I know once I get on Webb Chapel, I want to go up a couple of streets. I'm taking my life into my own hands. And that goes back to what our police officers are doing and being out there calming traffic, issuing tickets. We're sending a message to people, don't speed in Farmers Branch. We used to have that reputation years ago. So we're rebuilding that reputation to slow traffic down because it's a problem. It is a problem. And that's top of mind as we talk about our comprehensive plan going forward and what our city looks like over the next 20 plus years.
This is what got you here, I think, Airbnb. What's going on here?
Well, it's been quiet, thankfully. We can't stop them. But we have an ordinance in place. If you have an Airbnb, you have to register with the city. You have to pay a fee for a permit, and you have to have your property inspected. And it has to pass a code inspection. And that process happens again every year. We have an outside party, and we have city staff that scours the internet for people that aren't using Airbnb or Vrbo or some of they just have their own website out there. We found a couple like that that are trying to skirt the permit process and all the requirements. And we go out and make them comply or shut them down. And we can shut them down, we can fine them. So it's been quiet. I'll say from my personal experience, I had affectionately named the Love Shack a couple of doors down from my house. And ever since the ordinance went in place, the ownership has changed, so it's now an investor that owns it, and they have a management company that actually is based right here in Farmers Branch that manages the property. So we know each other. It's been really quiet. We've not had one problem over that property. And that's thanks to the ordinance, it's thanks to the enforcement, and getting the message out, right? There's no message if you don't enforce.
Yeah, I just wonder what in the world is happening at Valley View and 35? Nothing, except a bunch of traffic cones. So what's?
Oh, okay, so Valley View and 35. So at Valley View and 35, that's shut down for a little bit because there's some water pipes under the road that are having to be fixed that go across a creek. I think that's what you're talking about. There's a creek over there, and there's some infrastructure work that's going on. We have to close the lane.
Yes. 6 months or more, right?
Underground pipes are not, they're not a quick fix. We've got 50, 60 years of aged pipes under some of our roads, throughout some of our neighborhoods. Some of our neighborhoods have to endure months of a construction project. That means dust, it means dirt, it means inconvenience, it means noise. But we have to replace these pipes. We have a schedule, a strategic schedule to go throughout the city and replace all these aging infrastructure. And so we just have to follow that plan.
I think Danielle would add a little bit more to that.
Okay.
Sorry, Colin.
That's part of the tech stack widening. And so this first phase is all the utility relocations.
So where exactly is this?
Sure. At Valley View and I-35? Right over here.
35.
Yes, that's tech stack. Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking Webb Chapel and 635.
You rode your bike the wrong direction.
I did.
So they're doing all the utility relocation first, moving the water lines and sewer lines and storm lines, and then they'll do the paving at the end. But yeah, it's a long project. That I don't know. You'll have to ask TechSlab.
Well, it's the same project.
Yes.
So we haven't talked about that tonight. So you're next. 35 and Valley. 35 is widening. You're widening on 35. This has been multi-years in the making. We actually had a committee. I was part of the committee in helping to influence some of the design, InDesign. It's going to look modern. It's going to be better lit. It's going to be safer once it's all done. But until then, avoid that area because On top of this, the 35 construction and its impact on Valley View and Valley to come, we're gonna have a multi-sport facility that's being built right now. And so there's gonna be a lot of construction just right here over the next year and a half. So I would just say, stop at Mustang Station. Stop there, get you a burger, get a beer, and go back the other way. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, two things. For bulk pickup, what time do you put it out the night before? 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock, okay. What happens when people have it out for 2 to 3 weeks?
So we have this really cool app. It's FBTX Connect. And if there's someone that's put stuff out there and they've got it a week ahead of time, you know, that's too early. And we don't want trash sitting out there for that
Right,
long.
right.
So if it's your neighbor and you're not comfortable.
Well, no, it's not my neighbor. Just, there are people along, and it just,
It doesn't,
it doesn't.
it looks like a house.
Right.
Yeah. We don't want that. FBTX Connect.
Yeah.
I'll help you load the app on your phone and one of our city staff will.
Okay,
Please use that app in reporting concerns throughout the city. Okay? You see water running down the street? Report it to the app. Take a picture. If you take a picture, not doing this, I've done it right on my bike, and somebody's sprinkler system has a busted head, or the city has a busted sprinkler system, or a commercial property, is one that I did recently, and there's water running down the street, take a picture, the app knows where you are. And so all you do is just take a picture, report it, it goes to the city, it goes to the proper channel, it gets addressed, they reach out to you and let you know it's being addressed, we can report on it, we start to stack data, we know where our big problems are, we know where our problem areas are, all because of that app. Very easy to use, so I encourage you to use the app for those kinds of things as well.
how can we encourage people to use their driveways if they're empty instead of the street?
It's a big country. Well,
It's just loaded with,
understood.
As someone with small kids, I appreciate all the street parking because it slows people down in my neighborhood. It acts as a natural traffic calming situation. We have noticed that the more cars that are parked on the street near our house, the slower the cars travel down our house. We live 5 houses north of Valley View, and people like to drive down toward that stop sign like they're about to get on 35. They're going way too fast. But 4 or 5 cars on the street, and I feel less like my kids are going to get run over while riding their bikes on the sidewalk.
That's a great point. A wider street gives the perception that you can just drive faster. Human nature. But yeah, we do have some very narrow streets in our city where you have cars parked on both sides, particularly in the neighborhoods over behind city halls. Very narrow streets, they can be difficult.
One of the questions that comes up to us all, one of the questions that comes up to the council members and mayor and ourselves is can a fire truck get down my street? There's not a street in Farmers Branch we can't get down. So I've grown up here. I've been here going on 17 years. I've driven the fire truck. I've been in every position. There's not a street that we can't get down. We go down every street, and we can make it down your street. So don't be concerned that we can't make it down your street. I promise you we can. We drive them all the time. Our guys are out and about all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So do not be concerned about that.
That's our chief, right?
Just following up on that question, on-street parking, there are a lot of houses in Farmers Branch that have renters, and they have maybe more people living there than they should, so there are a lot of cars on the street. I know every morning when I go to work, I'm just wondering when is it going to happen when I'm going to get hit head on? Because when I turn on the curb, I can't see a car coming. And, you know.
We have an ordinance that specifies a maximum number of vehicles per property. Right? So if you believe that there are excessive cars parked on a property, like VTX Connect Center, that's the place you report it to. You know, they'll go check it out. Is there a set number of matters depending on the property size? You got this, Jared? 5?
Jared McGraw, Code Enforcement Manager. On private property, it's 5, the limit of vehicles. On the street, that's a different story. But on the private property, it's 5.
So if I've got 5 cars, well, so you're saying with my driveway?
Five visible on private property, yes.
But if I've got 5 cars in my driveway, and I've got 3 or 4 or 5 cars parked along the side of my house on the street, is that okay?
We don't have anything to address that at the moment.
Yeah. No?
So I may be wrong, but I think for the most part, Valley View speed limit is 35. But you get over, oh, you get a mic. But you get over by Brookhaven and on across Midway and it's 30, okay? It's the same kind of, in my mind, same kind of commercial buildings or residents or whatever as Spring Valley or Valley's the next street up, where the speed limit's 40, but this one's 30. It's really illogical to me. Now, we were taking some people out to eat and I was driving along there and I got stopped by the famous, police and gave me a warning because they knew I was going to a good restaurant. But it just seems like a crazy way, because nobody drives 30, going past the college and over to Midway. And I just wonder if that can be reassessed and then on over to the North Tollway.
So, great question. Thank you for the question. So the question generally is around the inconsistency, it seems, in speed limits from one street to another. I don't have an answer for you. I've noticed it as well, and I don't know what the answer is. But what I would suggest on that and on any questions that you all might have, we have a city staff here that wants to serve you. So feel free to come down here. Call, make an appointment, come down here and say, I've got some questions. I guarantee you'll leave here with some answers. Because these folks genuinely want to serve you and answer your questions. It's all about reporting off the Palm Springs. Will you get that in Dallas? No. I don't dislike Dallas, but I don't live there for a reason. I live here. And that's one of them. That is definitely one of them. Thank you all so much again for being here tonight.